Hello and welcome to Behind the Streams. I am your host, Cameron, and we are joined here today by one of my guests, Cebresthehound.
Heyo.
So, a lot of you will not know that this podcast is going to be about the small streamers on Twitch and what it's like to be the smaller streamers rather than what it's like to have these hundreds of thousands of followers, thousands of views per stream, and what they go through on a day-to-day stream. I go by quite a few online aliases, one of which I believe I'll be called during this podcast. But when you do hear it, don't get thrown off. I'm pretty sure there'll be more put out there. My main alias online is monkeyboy1280. That's my Twitch, my YouTube, and several others. But enough about me. Let's get into about Cebresthehound and what it's like to be her as a streamer. So, Cebres, what got you into streaming?
I don't remember. I think I was just watching a streamer, and my friends were talking about it because they were able to stream at their time, and I was like, well, I want to join in, and then I got my brother to build me a computer that I can go stream on.
Right. Okay. So, essentially, your friends got you into watching Twitch, and then you wanted a part of that.
Yeah, could seem cool.
It seemed cool, right? So, many streamers have their main goals and aspirations of being a streamer. They have them set out they already have them written down somewhere before they even think about, hey, what's my name going to be? What are your goals for streaming?
I really don't have any. I just mostly just do it for fun and hope people should enjoy stuff that I do.
Okay, so if you only do it for fun, why do you do it at all?
Um, I really don't know. I never had a set goal for anything while starting up streaming.
Okay, so streaming for fun is does it kind of help you with anything like during your day to day life? Is it
Kind of,
like an escape place?
kind of gets me out of my shell, yeah, and it's an escape from real life.
Okay, okay. So we always hear about these new up and coming streamers. They start off really small, and within a few months they grow to like these massive streamers that like somehow just seem to pop out the ground um through the bigger streamers. But once you see those people pop out the ground from nowhere with a very small view base, and they end up just one day disappearing off the face of Twitch, what do you think the main reason is for people quitting, or quote unquote quitting?
Either something happened in the real life that they had to stop, they probably couldn't pay for internet or anything. Multiple reasons, really.
Okay. Has it ever came across your mind of quitting?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay. Would you like to elaborate on the reasons why, or would you prefer not to?
No, I could say it just because most people nowadays they mostly focus on the same streamer over and over. That they really don't give the smaller, less known accounts a try, and so they kind of just like, oh well, that person has 0 views. Their stream kind of sucks. I don't want to watch them.
Okay, yeah, exactly, and that's kind of the reason why I started this podcast, to try and get the bigger streamers out, the smaller streamers out there. Sorry, not the bigger streamers. They already have the views they need. So, coming from like the smaller streamer point of view, I've tried it myself. I couldn't do it. I couldn't justify myself sitting here playing games that ultimately I get bored really quickly playing games. My computer's not good enough to stream games, so I kind of get why some people quit in that point of view too. So these streamers that have like the 0 view count on like several streams in a row, what do you think that pushes them back from streaming too?
Hmm, I don't know.
Okay. So another thing we see the bigger streamers more. We see them go full time Twitch. Would you consider going full time Twitch yourself if you started getting the like hundreds of views each stream? Start getting the followers.
Not really.
No, is that not
'Cause
something that doesn't interest you?
no, because there could be a lot of times that there's days you can't really go full time streaming, and people get mad at you, and you're just like, well, what am I supposed to do?
Right, because as a full time streamer, you're expected to stick to your schedule, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ah, okay. So I know for some people hitting that go live button can be very nerve wracking at times, especially when you get like a certain number of views each time. How do you yourself overcome the nerves of hitting that go live button?
I kind of just don't think about like anything really, because it's yeah, you can get hosted by a large account, but sometimes it kind of slips your mind as you get into like the world of your own kind of video game you're playing, and you're just like, well, just have fun. Don't really care about who watches you a lot.
Right, and you actually touched on another point I was going to put across there. Does it not nerve wrack you that there's always that chance of being hosted by the bigger streamers playing like the same game that you're playing, such as people like Shroud or Timac, Lyric?
I mean, I had Laura host me a couple times, and I had some people who didn't really accept that he hosted me.
Right.
That, and as soon as he probably, a lot of the times when larger streamers host smaller streamers of that sort, they don't really like their content, so they leave right away, or some just don't really care about who they're rating, leave anyway because the stream's over.
Okay. So, adding to that a bit more, you touched on some of your viewers might not like the fact that a certain bigger streamers hosted you.
Yeah.
What has anything actually happened in your chat when Lorik has hosted you? Like any of your current viewers, anything? Have they said anything that might discourage other big streamers to host?
Only one of my mods, but I kind of ignore him at that point.
Okay. So another thing we see on streamers, like their descriptions underneath the stream, is all this fancy snazzy $1,000 equipment that they use, such as all their mixers. If they're musicians, they have all the mixers, the input outputs, keyboards, guitars. Um, this stuff can add up to and easily go over the price point of $4,000. But do you think yourself it's necessary to have all this fancy equipment to become a successful streamer?
Not really, because I know a lot of big streamers I used to watch, they don't really have the newest graphics card that costs $6,000 because it's an upgrade from whatever they have now. Because a lot of the times, a lot of the things are the same. They advertise them as they're like 10 times better than the thing they have, and it's just kind of a waste of money, really.
Right. Okay. But do you think it's necessary for to have all this equipment to interest your viewers, or do you think some viewers might get a bit discouraged watching you, thinking, "Oh, this guy's got too much money for this guy's got too much money in cents."
Mm, I don't really think it's necessary to have the all that equipment because sometimes it gets unused.
Right. Okay. Because I know I kind of know your setup. I've watched a few of your streams. We talk outside your streams.
Hmm.
Um, we met in a GTA roleplay server. So, um, I know that you used to use a headphone microphone, like a microphone attached to a headset,
Yeah,
and then that unfortunately broke, and
still don't know how.
you're using a standalone microphone for the first time currently.
Yep.
Was it expensive?
It's only $30. Not really expensive, in my terms.
Okay. The quality of your microphone, do you think it's at that standard that's needed to become a good streamer or a popular streamer?
Mm, kind of, because a lot of the times with some mics you can pick up on all the background noise. Even the smallest like drop of a pin they can probably pick up, but other mics can like block the whole thing out. And the mic I have currently, if somebody yells from downstairs, it could be picked up from my mic somehow. I don't know, and you can hear it during a lot of my streams.
Right, okay. So, at this point, am I safe to say any background noise that we may hear is not intended for?
Except I'm lucky right now when my dogs are asleep.
Right? I'm in the exact same
Except
position right now. All my animals are asleep, so yes, quiet time.
until somebody comes home and they hear the door open and cue me having to quick mute my mic so nobody gets ear raped by my dog's barking.
We'll try and get through this before anyone actually comes home. Or if it does, I'll just edit out. So I know that you're you live in America, obviously,
Hmm.
and you're in school up until you're 18, and it's kind of come to like the norm as a young American to get a job as soon as you can. And I know that you're still in high school and you have a job.
Yep.
How do you balance streaming, a job, and school so that you get the optimum amount of stream time, study time, and work time?
Depending on when I work, if I work till like 8, which I'm doing now a lot of the times during the weekday, I don't usually stream. But if it's during school when I don't have days where I work, if it's times where I have a test or something big, I usually skip out streaming for a couple of hours and then just stream really late at night. But if I don't, I usually just come home and wait a bit to start streaming.
Okay, so you work your stream schedule around your out behind stream schedule.
Yeah.
And obviously, as a young person, your education is a big thing.
Yep.
You need those grades to get a good job, etc.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah. See, some people would kind of I don't know the exact terminology for this, but some people would kind of push their school and work, like they would distance it, so they wouldn't go to school as much because they want to be the next big streamer.
Now that's just being stupid.
Exactly. Like if you want to be a streamer, yeah, you need to get your content out there. But if you're pushing everything out that actually matters, do you really think you're going to be the big next streamer? The next big streamer?
Nope.
Okay, so given that we're in 2018 and trolling seems to be a big thing in our day and age. Um have you ever had an incident or any time on your stream where you have, I don't know, like had a big group of trollers come into your chat?
Just recently, yeah.
Oh, just recently. What happened?
Mhm. I was waiting for one of my games to install, and luckily I had two of my best ones on there watching me, and I was in the just chatting area on Twitch, and I had probably 4 people come on. One said a racist term, which I not saying anything about,
Yeah, let's not
and
repeat the
then
racist stuff.
and 3 of them that were being very sexual that kind of got me uncomfortable.
Right. So, given that you've been put in the uncomfortable position now by these three people, what did you do to combat
I
the
usually
three
just
people?
ignore them. I just ignore them really, because if they're gonna keep doing that, why give them attention?
Right, and these trolls feed off attention.
Yeah, I kind of didn't notice until they ended up getting timed out,
All right.
and I was like,
Okay.
oh,
So your mods actually beat you to seeing them.
yeah.
All right. Okay. So you've got a good set of mods.
hmm But if they usually aren't on, I usually kind of glance over, and if they say something stupid like that, I'm just like, okay. And your point of typing that is?
Okay. So we all know that Twitch is a massive streaming platform in 2018. More and more people joining every day. Thus, the demand of people wanting views is greater, and the demand of people wanting to become the next big thing is getting bigger and bigger every day. Uh, so it's very competitive. Do you look at your views when you're streaming, or is it just, are you just there to stream? Don't care about views.
I don't care about views really.
Okay, so you're just there to entertain whoever decides to click on Cebresthehound.
Yeah.
Okay. So how long have you actually been streaming for?
8 months.
8 months.
Mhm.
Do you think you've grown a lot in that 8 months of streaming?
Yeah.
Do you know what your current follow number is?
52. Because I'm currently
52.
working on my Twitch right now.
All right, okay. So would you say that 52 followers for a small streamer is average?
Kind of, yeah.
What are the average views that you get per stream?
Around 3 or 5.
3 to 5. Okay. So, given that you've got 50 odd followers and you get, let's say, 5 views per stream, that's something that you're happy with.
Yeah. Because a lot of them are returning viewers, and it kind of just makes me happy because they find me funny or nice and they want to return.
Okay. That's a good thing that they are returning, so you must be doing something right. So, given that you've been streaming for 8 months, give or take, you must have had a bad stream, or something happen that was really bad during a stream, or something that's made you embarrassed during a stream. Has that ever happened?
Multiple times of my sister walking in and screaming something really random.
Boy, can you remember any of those times?
I think the one time she came in and my dog was on the bed, and she yelled, "You brat, why are you laying there?"
Right. And I believe you've told me before that you and your sister sound alike.
Yes.
Is it? Do you two sound the same to the point of if you don't have a face cam on, people will think it's you shouting that?
Yeah, because a lot of the times on other calls, when my sister usually walks in and she starts talking to me, I have friends going, "Why are you talking to yourself?" And I have to say, "My sister's in my room." And she usually just yells something that she would say that I wouldn't.
Oh, right. And your sister is younger or older?
Older by 3 minutes.
So you're the twins.
Yeah.
Got you. So would you say that she's the more embarrassing sister, or do you try and embarrass her more?
I think we're more of like competitive of that. So we both
Right.
do it on a daily basis.
Okay. So you said the I don't know what it's called or how to say it, but is it like the normal, quote unquote, in quotation marks, the normal siblings that fight and argue day in day out? Then you'll have
Yes.
your good days, you'll have your bad days.
Definitely.
Okay. So to go along with the embarrassing moments on your stream, there must have been the good things that have happened on your stream, the things that have either balanced off or overthrown those bad times.
Hmm. Possibly when you and a couple other people from the RP server started finding me on here when I had myself pretty well hidden.
Okay, so some of the best things to happen on your stream was me and a few other people just randomly finding your stream.
Yes.
Okay,
Because I
so
kind of don't make myself really known when I stream.
when you noticed that, or when you figured out that these people during your stream were actually the people you were talking to in the game, what was your reaction? How were you feeling? What was going through your mind?
I was like, "Oh god, how do they find me?" Then it just turned into, "Oh hey, I recognize some of these Twitch names because I watched them RP." And I kind of just like, "Oh, well, hi, how did you find me?"
Okay, so actually you recognize some of these names because you actually watch their streams too.
Mm-hmm.
Did did they recognize your name or?
I think some of them did recognize my name because for a bit while on the RP server, my RP name wasn't as it is. It was my stream name. And then that's when I changed it to my RP name so I wouldn't be found out. And I'm guessing they found it before I changed it.
Right. Oh yes, I recall now because your name in the game was Cebres.
Before I changed it to Joe Blue.
Yeah, and then all people would have to do then is type in Twitch Cebres, and then there's only a certain amount of people with Cebres in the name, so all they would have to do is click through like 4 or 5 people, and hallelujah, you're live. It's you playing the game, your voice. Yeah, that sounds like a pretty cool thing. Just to have the people that you talk to on a day-to-day basis actually come into your stream and support you in what you do. So I know that you're primarily a gaming streamer. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're correct.
But have you thought of or tried anything different on stream, right, other than gaming?
If I was probably good at some sort of drawing, I probably would do some art streams or just kind of do some in real life adventures that I do with a lot of my friends.
Right, yeah, but those IRL streams that I see on Twitch anyway, most of them are like out in public, and I just worry about their cell phone bills. They must be through the roof if they're using mobile data.
I mean, a lot of the times I have unlimited data, so.
Ah, so uh, has it? I'm assuming it's crossed your mind that you've been out and about exploring. Has it ever like popped in your mind like saying, "Hey, I should go live," but actually, what if people know where I am?
That always pops in my mind because a lot of people in my school, they do watch Twitch, and I'd rather have them not find me and them end up coming into school the next day and then being like, I didn't know you streamed, or them end up calling me names again, and I'm just like, okay, whatever.
Ah, right. Yeah, I was kind of the same way. When I started YouTube, I was still in high school. A few people found my channel, and it kind of wasn't the norm to be a YouTuber or a streamer back in 2010, 2011, you know?
I think I had an account back then. I'm not sure if I did.
Yeah, Twitch really blew up in like 2014. I want to say I'm probably wrong on that, but I can definitely understand where you're coming from with the name calling and stuff.
Yeah,
So
including in a school that's not really accepting of anything.
right, okay, yeah, and we've spoken about some of that stuff outside the podcast.
Yeah.
Some of it is not relevant to this podcast, so we'll leave all that information out. So going back onto the topic of setups, I know we touched this well earlier in the podcast, but you see these streamers with the thousands of dollars of equipment. We know that, but then you scroll down a bit further, and then you see that they've got 2 computers running one stream. How do you feel about that?
kind of put off because then it seems like I'm not doing as good as them and that they are only getting views because they have a better setup.
Right, because they're able to run their games smoother.
hmm
Okay. And yourself, you only run on how many computers?
I'm running one monitor and a laptop just to monitor my chats.
Ah, see that's another block for most small streamers. They only have one monitor. So getting into more equipment side, what equipment do you use to stream?
Um, because this was my actual tower was built with old parts, I have an i3 instead of whatever I is currently. So I can only stream certain games.
Right.
So if I get games that are the nowadays stuff that have like really high graphics and everything, I can't stream that unless I want my whole computer to end up crashing.
Right.
Anything else is kind of fairly new-ish, kind of made in the 2000 like 15-ish range.
Okay, so like 2 generations old.
hmm
Okay. So besides like actual hardware equipment, do you use any specialized like software? Like what platform do you use to stream on? XSplit, OBS,
I use OBS.
OBS? Do you use the
hmm
normal OBS, or do you use the one with like Streamlabs built into it?
The normal one. I do have Streamlabs OBS, but I don't use it because for me it's a bit confusing.
Okay. What about like any audio mixes like voice meter, or do you just go through the onboard Windows sound mixer?
I just go on to the mixer on the actual OBS itself.
Oh right, okay. So you just like route all your sound through OBS.
Yeah.
Got you, got you. So if you were to give advice to a person who is aspiring to be the next big streamer, or someone who is thinking of starting to stream just for fun, um, what would you say some of the big roadblocks are that they should look out for when starting to stream?
Depending on what game they're playing, that they will have a lot of people coming on the stream snipe them, or a lot of the times if you're playing a game and you're like fairly new to it, so you don't know a lot, you will have people insulting you that whatever game you play that you're just getting into, you'll be insulted and everything. Just don't kind of let them go to your head. That's 'cause I know a lot of people who got that hate and they quit in general because they weren't good at the game. So that's probably one of the main roadblocks of streaming, starting streaming.
Okay. So what you're saying is make sure that you expect people to join the stream just to know where you are in a game.
That and a lot of the times they will join, spectate, see how you're doing with the game, and if you don't meet their expectations, quote unquote, they will target you for being quote unquote bad.
Right, so they'll try and slander you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, and backseat gamers who have finished the game before will actually ruin the ending. I don't like people like that. Because you freshly get the game and they're like, oh yeah, this and this happens. You're just like, really? there are other people on here who haven't played the game that want to watch it and not
Alright.
get like ruined.
Okay. So people join a stream just to sit in the chat, watch and say, you're doing this wrong, you should have done it that way.
Yeah.
I don't understand why people would do that, because if you're watching a stream, you're obviously interested in how it plays, or you're there to support a streamer, or at least that's how I thought Twitch worked.
I mean, it used to be like that till 2018 rolled around.
That is very true, I guess. Yeah.
I remember when I used to first. My name before it became Cebres was Kion the Goddess, and I used to watch this one Do Not Starve player, and he had 0 people telling him what he did wrong, and then I changed my name to Cebres, started I told him it was me, and that's when I noticed that he got more people telling him that what he did was wrong, he should build his base different. I'm just like, it's his own playthrough, just leave him alone.
All right. So you notice like a change in people's attitude towards streamers change in that
Yeah.
specific streamer.
Hmm.
Oh boy. And that must have been like, I don't know, like it must have been a bit downputting for you as well, because obviously this is someone you enjoyed watching,
For the longest time, yeah.
and knowing that people are giving him, like, let's say they're giving him abuse because he's not playing the game to their standards. That must have made you feel some some sort of emotion.
I felt bad for him, and I really couldn't do anything because I know if I said something, they would smack at me. And I was like, well, what's the point then? Because they aren't going to leave him alone.
Right. So I know that we've been talking about streaming, but I also know that you watch quite a few streamers.
Yeah.
Um, what what have your experiences been as a viewer rather than the person behind the screen?
Depending on who I'm watching, a lot of the times, if it's a streamer that knows me well because I've been on their account long enough and I started talking to the stream, then they kind of acknowledge me that I'm there. But a lot of times with the bigger streamers, they sometimes ignore the newer people, which kind of puts off a lot of viewers for them because they usually mostly care about either their mods, which that's understandable because you kind of need to know what's going on, or
Right.
people who have been subscribed to them for a while.
Okay. And then that actually moves me on to my next part about the next part of this question. How do you feel about the bigger streamers who only acknowledge like the people who subscribe or the people who donate?
It's kind of pretty bad because it just proves that they're only in it for the money and they don't really care about their views. I mean, they do care about their views, but if it's only making them money.
Right.
But I do know a lot of big like streamers because their chats are like so hectic. They can only see certain messages, so that I understand. But if it's like they have 100 viewers and out of 100 there's only 10 that are a couple of mods, subs that like to donate, then they only focus on them. That's just kind of being really bad at like being a bad streamer, really.
Right. Yeah. So you're saying it's like there's certain streamers, certain big streamers out there who only look for those badges in the chat rather
Yeah.
than looking for those newcomers,
Hmm.
and essentially losing people in their stream.
Yeah.
Okay. So given that you've been streaming for a little bit, what are some of the challenges you've faced early on, and what did you do to combat them to get you where you are today?
Well, before I didn't know how to set up my OBS, so I would be asking my friends, watching videos, and then yeah, before I would not know how to set up my OBS, and I'd be doing the setups that people had that had the high rating towers that can stream at any rate, so I'd be having bad stream lag. And so I ended up asking one of my friends who knows about computers, and he was like, "Well, you have to do it this, this, and this." And I did that, and luckily, I didn't have any lag. And I kind of just started watching other streamers, seeing what they used for their like starting up stream or BRB scenes, and I was like, well, mine are just kind of black screens that have typing that says "be right back" and stuff like that. So I kind of was looking around, found Stream Elements and Streamlabs, started using some of their mm, things, and I kind of just went off of that.
Right. So you're saying that when you very first started streaming, your lack of knowledge of the streaming softwares was a big barrier for you?
Yeah.
Okay. And obviously, given that you want to continue streaming, continue to grow, obviously grow at your own pace. You don't want to try and become the next big sellout. What are your future goals and aspirations for streaming?
As of now, I'm saving up for a bit more the newer games and some new stuff for my PC so I can actually stream the high graphic rate games that I wouldn't be able to stream. Because I think I tried streaming Arc before and it did not go well.
Oh, I can
I
imagine
had
that. Yeah.
I had lag to no end, and I think it was running a Spinal Sword. And he rubber band like across the map. 2 days later, we got a notification saying that he died, and we were just like, "Oh, we didn't even know where he went."
Oh boy.
That was a good time.
If only you'd caught it on stream, eh? So you're saying that your next steps in streaming is to upgrade your rig.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I know off like gaming and everything. I know you like. I like to ask you for help of like what to put in my PC to actually make it run somewhat smoother. And I
Right.
think, yeah, you did give me a mic that I could possibly save up for.
Yeah.
That's like a little bit of an upper game than the one I have now.
Mhm.
So I usually ask for people's opinions on like which to get to see which is better because I know my recommendations of stuff usually is bad. Like I suck at picking anything out. So
Yeah.
I usually ask for like multiple people like what do you think is better, this or this? And kind of go on what's the highest voted thing.
Yeah. And when you ask when most people when you ask them for like advice on what to get, they don't take into account that you may have a budget.
Mhm.
They just go for, hey, you should buy the new Nvidia GTX 1080 Ti or the new G Skills RAM or the new AMD the Threadripper. They don't take into consideration like there is lower stuff that work just as well at cheaper
Mhm.
prices, such as the 1050.
Because I know my brother has a site that he goes on, usually puts computer parts on for sale,
Okay.
but the prices are still a bit high. Like, so go for like 1,000 or so, and you're just like, well, why should I waste $1,000 for a computer part that will just give me more RAM or something like that. Not like
Mhm.
RAM. Does RAM even go up to $1,000?
I would hope not. No.
Must
That
be
would be
one hell of a RAM.
that would be some RAM right there.
Having all the streamers buy that in a heartbeat.
Maybe if we start getting like a terabyte RAM, you know, but that
Oh
would
god.
never happen. Let's be honest.
Unlimited games.
So, Cebres, this is the part of the podcast where you have as much time as you need to plug yourself. Any social medias, anything you want to say, go ahead. Floor's yours.
Well, saying as I do have a personal Instagram that I don't usually give out to people, but my personal Instagram is my Twitch name. I do have a TikTok that is really cringy, so if you like cringe, you can go to that. That's still my Twitch name and everything. Um, I have multiple YouTubes, but a lot of those I am keeping private just because of trolls and everything. And that's kind of it. If you did hear any background noises, though, that is not my fault. I blame my whole mic.
Okay, guys, go follow Cebres on all their social medias. Links will be in the description below this podcast. As well as YouTube, this podcast will be going up on SoundCloud under the name Behind the Streams, all one word. That's on SoundCloud and hopefully soon to be put up on Spotify. So if you liked what you've heard on this podcast today, I have got more guests lined up in the future. Drop a like, follow the podcast, and be sure to drop into the next one. Thank you for listening, guys.
See ya.